Bay County's chief medical examiner, Dr. Charles Siebert, has been under intense scrutiny the last few months since he ruled a 14-year-old juvenile boot camp participant's death natural. The manhunt is on for a suspected terrorist mastermind in the London bombings. A week after the attacks, police now believe the leader is alive and on the loose. This year, almost 275,000 new cases of breast cancer will occur. And thanks to new treatment options available in Southwest Florida, the potential for long-term recovery from breast cancer is better than it ever has been. Before we can teach you how to work out right, you have to learn how to eat right. After all, it's no sense trying to build muscle when you have excess fat. It's just muscle under fat. It's pointless. Ann's first tip, keep it natural. And I learned a lot of my favorite foods aren't. First up tonight, downtown Fort Myers businesses have been praying for more people to frequent the River District. And tonight, 3 churches are answering those prayers.
I want you to look behind me. We're at Treasure Ship right now, right in front of the dock, obviously, well, what used to be a dock off of Thomas Drive. Captain Anderson's is over to my right. But what we want to focus on right now is this remnants of a dock. What you're seeing over there is the tops of some tables. It's just amazing. You know, the flooding, the water continues to rise.
The wind is really picking up right now. Very dangerous conditions. I could barely stand. This is the strongest I've seen it all day. We've been out here for about 5 hours, and you can definitely tell that hurricane's coming to shore.
Cleaning up downtown Bonita Springs, that's what it's all about. I'm standing in what used to be an old mobile home park along 41, and I want to show you a little bit about this property. It's very charming, leaders say. You can see a little bit of the footbridge back there, and then the Imperial River running right next to this property. It is very key for developers.
Follow me, we'll take a look inside, show you some of the unique characteristics. Now, even though this boat was built in 1969, it has been completely upgraded and updated, as you can imagine, only the best. And there is a reoccurring theme in this boat to go along with the name Bull. He's actually got a flag here of a bull, BLM, Bernie Madoff's initials. And then if you look over here, you'll see a picture of a bull.
26-year-old Miriam Lamour was a college student in a Haitian university when her classroom collapsed around her. After spending the last 2 weeks in makeshift hospitals in Port-au-Prince, she's finally here in Palm Beach County getting the care she needs.
Insiders working there believe the airport garage is still vulnerable to criminals, and if you park there, you're taking a risk.
All the consoles were open, everything was completely out of place.
Tony Font's Ford 250 was ravaged while parked at the Palm Beach International Airport earlier this year. Everything inside ripped out, stolen.
Took a flathead screwdriver.
What's even more stunning is this was the second time in 6 months that Font's truck had been broken into at the long-term parking garage.
The second time, it was, jaw-dropping. You have got to be kidding me. Happened once, shame on me, happened twice, incredible.
From October of last year to the end of this past January, Sheriff's Office records show 94 vehicles broken into at the airport and another 5 stolen. Compare that to just 17 break-ins total in the first 9 months of 2009. Authorities believe an organized gang from Miami has targeted the Palm Beach Airport garage. This man was another victim, all 4 wheels and rims on his brand new Mercedes-Benz ripped off.
The parking garage manager did say he suspected it happened between 12 p.m. and 3 p.m., which is also extremely surprising. That's the middle of the day. I'm not sure how something like that goes unnoticed.
It goes unnoticed, this airport deputy says, because deputies were instructed to leave the garage. The deputy, who asked that we hide his identity for fear he may lose his job with the force, says Sheriff Rick Bradshaw called a special meeting with the department and instructed deputies to focus on writing traffic tickets instead.
He basically told us that if we didn't start writing tickets, that we would all be transferred to another district. They're out there in the daytime writing tickets when the bad guys are out in the garage.
Sheriff Bradshaw referred us to Lieutenant Tom Neighbors for this story. Neighbors leads the patrol at the airport.
Do you believe that by putting more patrols outside, that's hindering the safety of being inside?
No, not at all. We have sufficient manpower to do both.
PBSO won't tell us how many deputies patrol here or how often they come through here. But Lieutenant Neighbors insists some changes have already been made. If you look above me, you see these lights. They are new lights, significantly brighter than before. I'm also told a new security plan has been put in place.
We have instituted a action plan after analyzing what our problem was. I hesitate to give out any manpower on any given day because some days I have more, some days I have less.
Neighbors says in the past few months since the new plan was put into place, not one break-in has occurred. PBSO records available to the public confirm that.
Is it safe to park here?
Yes, I'd park my car here.
Still, insiders say until the focus becomes patrolling, not writing tickets, the problem is not being addressed.
The solution is you need to have a deputy assigned to the parking garage. It's very simple.
For goodness sakes, it's an airport, right? So you've got to have heightened security.
And authorities have nabbed one suspected member of that gang from Miami that has apparently targeted the Palm Beach International Airport. We have his picture, DeAndre Wiggins, caught in the act, breaking into an Escalade at the airport recently. He has been arrested and charged with burglary. Investigators are hoping his arrest will lead to an entire takedown of that criminal ring. For more on this story and all of News Channel 5's special reports, you can log on to WPTV.com.
It's just another typical Friday morning for Myra Ramirez. She's been practicing at the Palm Beach County shooting range in Lake Worth for the past 2 months.
After watching the news and seeing so many things happen, I figured it's time to get one.
Ramirez is arming herself because she's fed up with the crime around her business. A week ago Friday, a man was shot just steps away from her Lake Worth store.
When I first started, I couldn't stop shaking. But after your first few times, you look forward to coming in.
A few doors down from Ramirez's store, coffee house owner Marilyn Garcia is also arming herself for the first time.
It's not that we have the gun always, just in case we need it.
Gun shop sales show tens of thousands of Florida women are now carrying a pistol.
They're just looking to protect themselves, keep the criminal at bay.
The toughest part, many women say, is working past the intimidation of it all. So I decided to fire off a few rounds for the first time myself. It's loud in here, but you very quickly get a feeling of power and control. Getting the right grip and focus is imperative to hitting your target.
For about $60 an hour, you can get a private lesson on how to hold the gun, the do's and the don'ts, and of course, how to aim.
Come in, take a lesson, start out something small to make it fun, and then move up to something that you're going to eventually carry for self-defense.
Myra Ramirez's gun of choice is the .38 Special. It's called the Pink Lady. And by the looks of the bullet hole in this target, you can see she's on the mark.
Hit my target. Do not mess with females.
Now, none of the females I talked with say they have had to use their weapon yet, but they assure me they will be ready, and more importantly, they just sleep better at night. The cost of that Pink Lady, by the way, about $300. The woman who just moved here from Pennsylvania says she was getting ready to put money in this parking meter when a meter maid approached her. Now, things turned ugly really quickly, and her husband caught the entire incident on his iPhone.
Take that and shove it up your...
This is video of a Delray Beach parking attendant losing his temper last Friday while writing tickets near the intersection of A1A and Atlantic Avenue. Bill Evans was taking the video with his iPhone. He says he started rolling on the attendant because he was harassing and following his wife, Andy.
I said, I want you to feel how it feels to be videoed or taken pictures of for no reason.
The Evans say the incident stemmed from earlier in the day when Andy was parking her car. She says she got out to wave her friend down, and when she turned around to put money in the meter, the attendant was slapping a ticket on her car.
Like, oh gosh, wait a second. I said, I actually robbed my daughter's piggy bank this morning, so I had enough quarters.
Pennsylvania spook.
Andy says the meter maid didn't care and started yelling at her and taking pictures of her. She says he even followed her as she moved her car.
He followed me to my next spot, started taking pictures of me again, and I said, Please stop taking pictures of me. I was crying.
Andy then called her husband, who says he drove to the beach looking for the meter maid. When he found him, he started recording him with his phone, and the parking guy didn't like it.
I could give it less, you Pennsylvania scooper woodchuck.
Basically a slap to my face. The hand went off my face, hit my iPhone. You can see that on the video, and then began to say that he doesn't care about his job, that I'm a Pennsylvania Schuylkill woodchuck, which I'd love to know what that means.
The meter maid started cursing at the couple and disregarding his own job as a volunteer with the city.
I don't give a about the job. See what that says? Volunteer. You don't even know what the that means.
The Delray Beach mayor has since learned of the incident and says the meter maid has been relieved from his position.
We don't tolerate this behavior for our employees. We don't tolerate it for our volunteers. And in addition to that, we have opened an internal investigation.
The Evans are happy to hear he's no longer patrolling parking spaces. They believe it's best for the entire community.
Definitely has anger problems, and it should be addressed.
Now, the city is not releasing the name of the parking attendant. All they'll tell us is that they believe it's an isolated incident, and they hope it's not going to reflect the good that the hundreds of other volunteers in the city have done for this community.
26-year-old Miriam Lamour was a college student in a Haitian university when her classroom collapsed around her. After spending the last 2 weeks in makeshift hospitals in Port-au-Prince, she's finally here in Palm Beach County getting the care she needs. Miriam Lamour is full of joy and thankfulness. She reads the biblical book of Job today. Doctors say she hasn't put down her Bible since she woke up in recovery this morning.
I prayed about my relief, and afterwards they sent someone to come and give us assistance.
Lamour is one of 4 Haitian earthquake victims transported to Delray Medical Center last night. She's doing better than the others, 2 of whom are still in critical condition. Doctors say they are doing everything they can to make up for the 2 weeks patients like Lamour received very little medical care.
So we're trying to coordinate just not only extensive medical care, but social care for family members without any place to go, any relatives.
Suffering from a pelvic injury, Lamour can't move her legs. But with proper rehabilitation here in Palm Beach County, doctors say she will walk again. The college student not only doesn't speak the language, but she knows absolutely no one in Florida. Her entire family, many of them thankfully still alive, were left behind in Haiti.
My family is in Haiti. As I stated before, I was in school when it happened. All of my family are safe, but they just don't have a place to stay. The house collapsed.
Still, with her faith and a spirit of joy that is hard to understand, this survivor will indeed make it, and she has big plans for her life.
After I leave the hospital, I would like to move on with my life. I wouldn't like for my injuries to prevent me from working. I would like to work and move on and hope that this doesn't remain as a scar on my life.
Incredible story. Lamour tells me she was studying to be a nurse, and now after what she's been through, it makes her want to succeed in life even more so. I also talked with St. Mary's Hospital in West Palm Beach. They have a total of 6 patients in from Haiti. A child just delivered to them about 2 hours ago. So we'll continue to follow the efforts here on the ground in Palm Beach County as doctors continue to take people in as needed. Palm Beach resident Greg Georges is a franchise owner of this Applebee's behind me on Military Trail and Okeechobee in West Palm Beach. He says he's scrambling tonight trying to figure out how he's going to meet all of the requirements in this bill.
Hey folks, how are you?
Greg Georges has worked hard over the past decade, expanding his business from just a few Applebee's franchises to 40. He has hundreds of full-time employees. He will now be required to pay 60% of their health care premiums or be penalized even more.
And right now, it's the worst time in 70 years that this kind of bill would come down.
Here's what's in the new legislation in regards to employers. Employers are required to provide and pay 60% of premiums for their employees. If they don't, the government will charge them anywhere from $750 to $2,000 per employee. If an employee is low income and chooses the government subsidy, over the employer's program, well, the business owner must cough up $3,000 per employee. A full-time employee is defined by anyone working 30 hours or more.
A lot of my full-time employees are still in their 20s or in their teens, and they don't really care that they get health insurance. I'm paying for all this health insurance for employees that actually don't even want it.
Georges, who says he's not affiliated with any political party, is disgusted and discouraged by a program he says is unfairly putting the burden on businesses.
The net effect is probably going to be jobs lost.
Local insurance expert Richard Bernstein agrees.
A lot of unknown. There could be a lot of extra cost by hiring tax lawyers and CPAs, and maybe they're spending more time on this than they should be in spending time on their own business.
Georges is definitely spending a lot of time on this. He doesn't want to let people go, but he says he may not have a choice.
I think it's going to be really hard for anybody going forward to own a small business.
The bill today affecting businesses with 50 or more full-time employees and construction companies with only 5 or more employees. However, and this is important to note, there is a reconciliation bill making its way through the Senate. That bill says part-time employees will be counted towards that 50 benchmark that companies must meet. Now, we've only touched on the bill here. For all of the new information coming out of this, we advise you to go to our website, WPTV.com.